What if I told you that hidden within the walls of a small church in Rome lies an icon so powerful that it has stopped plagues, ended wars, and converted millions of souls? Yet most Catholics have never heard the full story behind its most mysterious title. Welcome back to Faith Saves YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to get faith-lifting stories. Today we're about to uncover a 600-year-old secret that will change how you understand Mary's role in your life forever. This isn't just another devotion. This is the story of why Our Lady chose the title Perpetual Help, and why that choice might be the most important promise ever made to humanity. Have you ever wondered why, out of all the beautiful titles we give to Mary, Queen of Heaven, Mother of God, Star of the Sea, she specifically chose to be known as Perpetual Help? What was she trying to tell us? The year was 1499. In the remote mountains of Crete, monks at a monastery were about to make a discovery that would echo through eternity. But here's what most people don't know. This wasn't just any ordinary religious painting they found. This icon was painted by someone who claimed to have seen Mary herself. Legend tells us that the artist was granted a vision so vivid, so real, that when he painted Mary's face, tears actually fell from his eyes onto the canvas. And those tears? They say you can still see them today if you know where to look. But the real mystery wasn't the painting itself. It was what happened next that would reveal why Mary chose this specific title. Because you see, this icon was about to begin a journey that would test the very meaning of perpetual help in ways no one could imagine. And that journey started with what many would call a theft. Picture this. It's 1499, and a merchant ship is leaving the island of Crete. Hidden in the cargo hold is our precious icon, but this isn't exactly a legal transaction. A merchant has acquired the painting under mysterious circumstances that the church records carefully avoid describing in detail. But here's where it gets supernatural. As the ship sailed toward Rome, violent storms began to batter the vessel. For days, the crew fought against waves that seemed determined to send them to the bottom of the Mediterranean. The merchant, terrified and desperate, began to pray to the image he had taken. And then something extraordinary happened. The storms simply stopped. The sea became calm as glass. But that wasn't the end of Mary's intervention. When the merchant reached Rome, he fell gravely ill. On his deathbed, Mary appeared to him in a vision so powerful that he called for his friend, a nobleman, and made him swear a sacred oath. The merchant's dying words were urgent, desperate. Promise me you'll place this icon in a church where all people can venerate it. She told me she wants to help everyone who calls upon her. Promise me. The nobleman promised, but then he made a decision that would test Mary's patience for over 300 years. Instead of honoring the dying man's wish, he took the icon home to his private collection. Big mistake. What happened next in that nobleman's house would prove that when Mary makes a promise of perpetual help, she doesn't just mean it for some people, she means it for everyone. And she was about to make that very, very clear. For months, strange things began happening in the nobleman's house. Family members reported seeing a beautiful woman in their dreams, always pointing toward the upper room where the icon was hidden. But the nobleman ignored these signs, until his 6-year-old daughter changed everything. Night after night, the little girl would wake up screaming. But these weren't ordinary nightmares. She would tell her parents about a beautiful lady who came to her room and spoke with urgency. "Child, tell your father he must take my image from this house. Tell him to place it in the church between Santa Maria Maggiore and San Giovanni Laterano. There, I will grant graces to all who honor me." Night after night, the same message. Night after night, the nobleman hesitated. But Mary's patience was wearing thin, and her next move would leave no room for doubt. The child became seriously ill. The family's physician could find nothing wrong, yet she grew weaker each day. Finally, in desperation, the nobleman's wife cried out, "If this lady wants her image in a church, then for the love of God, take it there before we lose our daughter." And the very moment, the nobleman agreed to honor Mary's request, his daughter's fever broke. She sat up in bed, smiled, and said 4 words that would echo through history. But the story of why Mary insisted on this specific location would reveal the deeper meaning behind her title of Perpetual Help. Because the church she chose wasn't random, it was strategic, and what happened there would prove that Mary's help truly is perpetual. In 1499, the icon was finally placed in the Church of San Matteo, nestled between Rome's 2 greatest basilicas. For the next 300 years, something extraordinary happened in that small church. Miracles became ordinary. Blind men saw, crippled children walked. Plagues ended when communities prayed before this image. The title Perpetual Help wasn't just a name, it was a promise being fulfilled daily. But here's what makes this story incredible. Mary's help wasn't limited to dramatic miracles. Merchants would stop by before important business deals. Mothers brought sick children. Soldiers prayed before battle. Students came before examinations, day after day, year after year, century after century. Mary's help never stopped. It was literally perpetual. But then, in 1798, disaster struck. Napoleon's forces invaded Rome. Churches were destroyed, sacred treasures looted, and the Church of San Matteo was demolished. The icon that had worked miracles for 3 centuries simply disappeared. For 68 years, no one knew where it was. The perpetual help seemed to have ended. Pilgrims came looking for the famous icon, only to find rubble. Had Mary abandoned Rome? Had the promise been broken? But Mary had made a promise of perpetual help, and perpetual means forever. What happened next would prove that when God makes a promise through Mary, not even Napoleon can break it. But the way Mary chose to reveal herself again, that's a story that will give you chills. 1863. A young Redemptorist priest named Father Michael Marchi was giving a talk to his fellow priests when an elderly brother interrupted him with words that would change Catholic history. "Father, that icon you're describing, Our Lady of Perpetual Help, I know where it is." You see, Brother Orsetti had lived through the destruction of San Matteo. As a young man, he had watched the Augustinian friars rescue precious artifacts before Napoleon's soldiers arrived, and he remembered something everyone else had forgotten. The friars, they took an icon of the Madonna with them. They said it was miraculous. They said it was called Perpetual Help. "Father, it's been hanging in our church of Santa Maria in Posterula for 65 years. Can you imagine? For over half a century, the most famous miraculous icon in Rome had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right person, waiting to reveal why Mary's help is truly perpetual. When they uncovered the icon in that small church, witnesses said something extraordinary happened. The paint seemed to glow, the eyes of Mary appeared to move, and one priest swore he heard a voice whisper, "I told you, my help is perpetual." But this rediscovery was just the beginning, because what Pope Pius IX decided to do with this icon would prove the true meaning of perpetual help, once and for all, and his decision would spark a controversy that shook the Vatican, but would ultimately reveal Mary's master plan. When Pope Pius IX learned about the rediscovered icon, he made a decision that stunned the church hierarchy. Instead of placing this precious image in St. Peter's Basilica or one of Rome's great churches, he gave it to a small community of Redemptorist priests with an unusual command: "Make her known throughout the world. Let no corner of the earth be without knowledge of her perpetual help." Some bishops questioned this decision. Why give such a treasure to a small religious order? Why not keep it in Rome where it belonged? But Pope Pius IX understood something profound about the title Perpetual Help that others had missed. You see, perpetual doesn't just mean continuous, as it means everywhere for everyone at all times. Mary didn't want to be the patron saint of one church, one city, or even one country. She wanted to be the mother who is always available, always ready to help, always just a prayer away. The icon couldn't fulfill this mission, sitting in a Roman basilica visited only by pilgrims. It needed to be copied, spread, shared with the entire world. Mary's plan was brilliant in its simplicity. One image would become thousands, thousands would become millions, and millions would ensure that her perpetual help reached every corner of the earth. Today, images of Our Lady of Perpetual Help can be found in over 2,000 churches worldwide. From the favelas of Brazil to the mountains of Tibet, from urban parishes in New York to village chapels in Africa, Mary's promise of perpetual help has literally encircled the globe. But here's the most beautiful part of this story. Mary chose the title Perpetual Help, not because she can help always, but because she will help always. It's not a description of her ability, it's a promise of her commitment. So the next time you face a problem that seems impossible, remember this. Somewhere in the world, at this very moment, someone else is praying to Our Lady of Perpetual Help for the exact same struggle you're facing. And she's listening to both of you, because her help isn't limited by time, space, or circumstance. It's perpetual. The question isn't whether Mary can help you. The question is, are you ready to ask Our Lady of Perpetual Help to prove her promise in your own life? If yes, comment, like, subscribe, and share so that God's blessings will reach others people through the intercession of Our Lady of Perpetual Help.